Hey guys, it's Cody Louviere with the Youngsville Police Department, Chief of Police in Youngsville. You were here today with Louisiana on Fire.
What's up, Louisiana? I'm Tim Davis, and you're watching another episode of Louisiana on Fire. Today we're in the big town. I don't know, is it a town or a city now?
We're a city.
We're a city. Big city of Youngsville, which I reside, and we were the Chief Cody Louviere. Louviere. Okay, it's not Louvier to some of you other people out there, so get it right. Hey, we're having a good time. We're in Youngsville right now. We're in his beautiful office. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here today.
No, man, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate this.
Oh, hey, this is about you. You know, it's a beautiful day, and we're going to have some fun with this. So we're going to get to know you better and all that good stuff there. So first off, tell us about yourself, Chief. Where are you from? Where how you came up and everything.
So yeah, man, I grew up most of my life in Indian Bayou. Most people don't know where that's at, but yeah. So outside of Maurice, I grew up there. I moved there when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. So I spent my whole life there. Went to Indian Bayou Elementary. Then from there, went to North Vermilion High School. Stayed there till I graduated high school. When I graduated high school, we were talking earlier.
Yes.
You know, I thought I was tired of the country. I didn't want to be out there anymore as much as I loved it and hunting fish. So I moved to Lafayette. Stayed in Lafayette from 2001 till 2012.
Okay. Yeah.
Then I moved to Youngsville. I was like, wanted something new. I had friends that lived in Youngsville. But when I found my property that I built on, it was already blowing up. Cause
yes.
I grew up coming out here meeting friends and hunting and cane fields, and at that point it was already starting to kind of blow up to what it is today.
Yeah.
So we built a house here, and I've been here ever since. I love Youngsville.
Oh, me too. We've been here. I think around the same time. My wife and I, we moved back here in 2013. I think we got the house in 2015, so not too far behind you guys and everything. So, but yes, Youngsville is up and coming. It's getting a little busier and trafficky, if that's even a word. But
Quickly, right.
But this is where you guys, help us out though. So we appreciate you guys.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
We love doing it.
Hey, so you say from North Vermilion?
I did, yeah.
And Indian Bayou, all that good stuff.
Yeah, North Vermilion. Like I said, graduated from there. Went to UL for a little while, and had a kid early. I had my oldest daughter when I was 19 years old, so I figured it was time to get out in the workforce.
Right.
19 years old, I joined the Lafayette Sheriff's Office as a reserve. So I was part-time. I was working for free. Just
wow.
I knew it's something I wanted to do. And a friend of mine, I actually worked at Albertsons through high school.
That was my first job.
Did you? Which one?
The one on the north side, by Northgate Mall.
Okay.
I was what they called, I forgot the
Courtesy clerk. I was a courtesy clerk too.
Yes. See,
parallels already.
Yes. Oh man, that was used to. They're like, hey, you can't take any tips, but I was taking tips.
That's right. That's how I paid for my lunches. Man.
Yeah.
I didn't have to dig into my money.
Getting the French bread and
That's
everything.
right.
Yes.
French bread and some ham.
Yes.
And Mickey little sandwiches.
Man.
And
yes.
did you have the shirts with the little
with
grocery bags on them?
Yes.
Yeah.
You had that, and I had the little red sticker on there because I couldn't do something with alcohol at the time.
Yes.
I think I was like 16, 17.
You couldn't use the box crusher either.
No, I couldn't.
Right.
They're like, stay away from that. Wow. Courtesy clerk as well.
That's right.
We need like some jackets, some courtesy clerk jackets.
Right.
Like
a members only.
Yes,
there you go.
Yes. We need that.
No, man. So yeah, I did that. They had police officers that work security there. So law enforcement was a weird thing for me because growing up in Vermilion Parish, we didn't see cops. You had the sheriff's office, but you see them once a year.
Right.
So it was an interest to me that just like, what is it? What's it about? What's the backside of it? What do you do?
Yeah.
So it just kind of drew me in. It's funny how the world works and how small the world is. I knew some some sheriff's deputies that work security over there. One of them said one day, do a ride along. Go do. I was 18, so I was still working at Albertsons, but I was 18 at the time in high school. They said, go to the sheriff's office and do a ride along. I said, okay. So I went over there one day, signed a paper, a little waiver to do a ride along, and how small the world is. They asked me, who do you want to ride with? I'm like, I don't really know anybody on patrol. I just want to ride. I want to see what this is about.
Right.
So former Chief Ricky Boudreaux, they put me in a car with him the first night. They never met him in my life. Didn't know really, like I said, maybe 2 people that worked there. They stuck me in a car with him. So I rode patrol with him, kind of figured out what it was about, and I loved it. Like, at the time, you're 18 years old, the adrenaline, you see things that nobody else sees.
Yeah.
You see just kind of a different side of life. So it sucked me in, you know.
Yeah. That's what I was
so-
wondering, because like I really was. Yeah. How did you? What interests you that? So you guys are riding along, and was it anything crazy going on at that time, or just?
Yeah, you know, you just running call to call. That patrol shift that he was on was very active. So you were going to domestic calls, you were going to drug calls, and you know, I grew up. My dad was never around. He was absent, but he was an addict and an alcoholic. So I think that was another part of it that kind of drew me in was, what can I do to fix these things to make an environment better for someone else, for another
Yeah,
kid.
right.
That was real big to me too.
That's great.
So 19 years old, I joined, like I said, I went through an academy then. That was 2002. It was right after my daughter was born, and I became a reserve. Just like I said, donating my time, working for free.
Yeah.
Did that for a few years till I figured out, man, I really love this. I should probably get paid for it.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, you did that for free? I
know,
You just really love that.
I did. I worked a full-time job. I raised my daughter, and on my weekends off or my weekends free, or weeknights too, I put in time at the sheriff's office. We worked patrol functions. We'd assist on patrol shifts when they were short. Kind of a function of a reserve unit.
Yeah.
They call us when guys were on vacation, and we'd fill in. But it taught me a lot. And for me, I put in the effort to learn more because I wasn't getting paid for it. So why are you doing it? You know?
Yes.
So I kind of put my whole self into it to learn and pick up as much as I could.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I've been doing it ever since, and went full time after that to patrol. Worked my way to patrol till one day I figured out I was interested in canine, which it's weird because I asked myself after I got in canine, why did you do it? Kind of the same thing as a cop. I didn't know much about canine because they're a very specialized unit. You
Right.
don't deal with them all the time on patrol because they only come to certain calls. So you interact with them, obviously, but you don't know all the inner workings till you get into the section.
Right.
So it was kind of another thing that I just said, man, this is kind of interesting. I want to learn more about it. So I jumped into it. And I did. I was a canine handler for 6 years.
6 years.
So yeah, I loved it.
So you had one canine at the time. How many? I don't want
did.
to say go through, but
Yeah,
how
no,
many,
I did
know?
one. I got one from another handler who was getting out of it. I took him over. His name was Giza. He was a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
And we had what's called dual purpose dogs. So our dogs found narcotics and people. So I got into it. I got certified with our National Police Canine Association that we went through, and I did it for 6 years. I loved it. So I had one canine my whole career.
Yeah.
I worked him till he retired.
Wow. And so from you said 18 years old until now. So like how many years have you been total into law enforcement?
So 22, I made 22 years this year.
22
I did 21 at the Lafayette Sheriff's Office. This job, whenever this came available, last August 24th is when I was appointed here. It was something I was always interested in. This job, years ago, whenever former Chief Boudreaux ran in 2014, 15, whatever it was, I tell this story a lot. And like I said, how small the world is and how things move along. He's the first police officer I ever rode in a car with.
Right.
On shift, just happenstance. Whenever I moved to Youngsville, I moved into his neighborhood randomly. Didn't know he lived there.
Wait. The neighborhood? Are you talking like Highland?
Yes.
That's where I live.
Is that where you
Yes.
live?
Oh,
This
man.
is great. We're gonna have to go back to work at Albertsons.
Right.
Man.
That's where it all started. The Holy Grail. Yes.
Yes, I moved to Highland Ridge 2012.
Come on.
So you moved in 15?
Yeah, yes. I'm pretty sure it's 2015. I think it's either 2014 or 2015. So it's either going on 10 years we've been there or it's been 10.
Did y'all flood or were y'all on one of the
No,
islands?
we're in the phase 3 that didn't flood.
Y'all got lucky. Man.
Yeah,
That's
so
great. No, that's great though.
We got blamed for it. I'm like, I just bought a house. I didn't cause Mother Nature to do all that.
You gave
but-
me 18 inches of water, man.
Yeah, yes, yes. And I'm going to jail now because of this.
that's
Man, statutes of limitation though, right? You
I
can't.
did my
arrest me for
research.
that.
It was a setup.
Yes. Wow. So Highland Ridge.
I moved to
another
Highland
thing.
Ridge. Yeah, I moved to Highland Ridge. I've lived there ever since. And whenever former Chief Boudreaux had ran, he asked me if he could put a sign in my yard, and I was like, yeah. And I did, man. This is a true story. I stood in my front yard the day he put that sign, and I said, I'm going to do that one day. That's something I want to do.
Into existence.
I did. I really did. I feel like I did. And I just went a different angle than I said at the time. My ultimate thing, law enforcement, general movement of law enforcement, I think in careers, whenever people want to do this job, is they do it till they retire from their agency, right? They'll do 30 years because pension, right? So
Right.
you get your pension, you do your 30 years, and then you retire with that full salary, and then what do?
Yes.
Cops stay cops. It's what we know.
Yeah.
So we go into the next thing where we find something else, whether it's part-time at an agency, whether it's full-time. Some people become chiefs, and
Yeah.
that's what was in my mind. But then whenever this kind of came available, and I told myself no. It's like I want to do it now.
Yeah.
I was a lieutenant at the sheriff's office. Whenever I left K-9, I became a sergeant. My dog retired. I did that for a few years till I finally got promoted to lieutenant. As a lieutenant, I ran my own shift. They called us watch commanders or district commanders.
Gotcha.
So as a district commander, I dealt with not only running a shift and coordinating and schedule training and managing people, but you ran the crime statistics for all the south side of the parish. I did. We have a north, a central, and a south district commander. So basically, I was in charge of compiling crime statistics, disseminating resources out to fix these crime trends in
Yes,
different areas,
right.
which included Youngsville. So that helped me for this job to know who the players are that are committing crime, what's going on, what's the issues in what areas, and then working with other agencies. Back then we'd work with Youngsville, we'd work with Broussard to get these problems fixed. So it was an easy transition for me. But I'm 41 years old. I was 40 whenever I took the job. I'll be 42 in December. But I'm told myself, I said, I'm up to date on crime trends. I know what's going on. I'm fresh from patrol, even from a lieutenant standpoint, but I was with my guys working. I love technology still. I'm not out of touch with any of that. And I told myself, I need to do this while things are hot, while I know what's going on, while I can still correlate and respond and talk to these officers and understand.
Right.
Because I've said to myself for a long time, even if I get into administration or when I get into administration, when I'm out of touch, I'm getting out.
Right.
I've worked for those administrators that were so far gone and removed from what happens day to day and how things happen. And I think we've all had it in every job. It's not just in law enforcement. It's miserable.
Yeah.
It's miserable for the people that work under you because they ask questions and
Right.
you tell them no, but there's no substance to it.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I'm telling you no or giving you logic behind it. So when I'm out of touch, I'm out of this.
Right.
I'm going to do something else.
I mean, you saying that, but you've been in for so long. I don't know. You think you're gonna get to a point where like you get out of it and do something else, or
I hope not.
Yeah.
It's a passion. It's
18, not getting paid. That's definitely a passion.
Well, I think you transition through what your goals are,
Right.
And whenever you're younger, when I was 18, 19, I was 19 when I started. When I was 19 when I started, you have a different vision every day of why you're doing it. What's important to you? What's going on? I was a big proponent. Every day I go to work, I'd find a mission for myself.
Yeah.
Whether it was narcotics, whether it was doing a report better, whether it was learning something different, and that always kept me motivated.
Right.
I did narcotics for 6 years. That's a bad statement. I should clean that up. I worked narcotics for 6 years as a canine handler. You got those catchphrases, man. It's all about wording.
Hey, John, keep that one in. I like that one.
And that motivated me for a long time.
Right.
Getting drugs off the street and the dope game is real, and they call it the dope game for a reason. And I'll be honest, it's a game. It really is.
Yeah.
You hear transparency in law enforcement and morals and doing things the right way and ethics. I was always big on case law. Reading laws to figure out what you needed to do, how to do it correctly. But whenever you start reading case law from Supreme Courts, from your district courts, your circuit courts, tells you how to do things. So when you're stopping those vehicles, traffic stops, if you're looking for narcotics, trying to get that stuff off the street, you just have to do it the right way.
Right.
And that's a big thing I'd always teach my guys is sometimes you lose the game. Sometimes there's something in this vehicle, but you have to uphold people's rights and you have to do it the right way. And sometimes they walk away from a traffic stop and you know there was something in that vehicle that you wanted to get out or needed to get out to get them off the street, get those drugs off the street, but you just couldn't. You're keeping their rights solid.
That's so it's kind of like. So when you watch stuff on TV, is it like that, or you think that's more fabricated than real life?
A lot of it's fabricated. When you watch stuff like Cops and things like that's a true showing of kind of what we do. It really is. But it's all about how to do things,
right.
And doing things the right way. And like I said, that dealing with narcotics is a big thing for me for a long time. And this is the age-old debate of victimless crime, right? You hear it all the time, and you're never going to win the war on drugs. You're not going to. The best you can do is the best you can with it. But I think what the public doesn't see on the other side is of this victimless crime, right? Of these people that are just driving around with drugs and not hurting anybody, or we're not talking marijuana or things like that.
Yeah.
who suffers?
Yeah.
You know, the kids.
Right.
Who's at home without a father,
Yes.
without a mother.
Right.
You suffer because
Yeah.
people break into your vehicle to what? Buy drugs.
Yes.
To
'Cause they
sell
trying to get
these
that
things to
fix.
buy drugs.
Right.
So ultimately, we can argue it all day, but I don't think it's as victimless as people put it out to be.
Yeah.
You know, in a lot of cases.
Right.
We've seen kids. We go in the house and see kids that haven't eaten in days, that their parents are out using drugs, or God forbid, the worst of the worst, where with fentanyl these days.
Yes.
Right. You get high, you leave it out, then what happens? Then a kid gets
Touch
into
it.
and they eat it, or they think it's terrible.
Yeah.
So that, in my opinion, that's why I was always passionate about it, and why I say it's not victimless. If anybody's getting hurt from something someone's doing, it's not victimless.
Yes.
It's not.
Yeah, somebody's
you know?
gonna experience it some way, somehow.
Absolutely.
You know, like six degrees of separation type thing when it comes to humans. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to the question of, like, so whenever you wake up in the morning and you put on your uniform and that badge, like, what goes through your mind?
It's so cliche. It is, but just helping people, like, I love it. And I've always looked at administrators and chiefs, because obviously I think that question has pivoted throughout my career. You know,
Yeah.
Early on it was, well, I'm gonna get on the road, I'm gonna make a difference, and you know, younger cops, I'm gonna bring somebody to jail today. You
Yes,
know,
yeah.
and it is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
anybody tell you it's not, it's a lie. You know,
Right.
you go through that phase in your career, but then it hits you that, why are we doing this? You know, the first time you put somebody in jail, and if you're any type of human being, you sit back and you think about it and say, I just took somebody's rights away. You know,
Yeah, yes.
I just
right.
pulled him out of the house with his kids, or you just think about being plucked and put somewhere forcefully, and you have no choice. You know,
Yeah.
people talk about kidnappings. I mean, that's what you did. You took them away. So it kind of hits home when you really think about it.
Yeah.
But I think now in my role with what I do, and when I get dressed in the morning and when I leave the house, a lot of times I'll stop and get coffee somewhere. It's the interaction, to meet people, to talk to people, for people to see the other side of what we do. But also, I was that patrol officer one time, or that patrol deputy when I was at the sheriff's office. Now I have officers. That was a hard thing for me to transition to, working at the sheriff's office for 21 years, and
Right.
now having officers instead of deputies.
Yeah, right.
But to get through to those guys, and make a difference, and for them to come to you and be happy that you're their chief or you're their supervisor because you understand them.
Right.
That's important to me.
Yeah.
For do everything that you can to make those guys have an easy job, and to understand that you're behind them.
Yes.
in what they do. That's huge to me.
Right. Yeah. And so, because that kind of, and with that also, I wanted to ask, how does your family feel? Because that's kind of like opposite, you know, to where you're doing that, you're putting your
Right.
life on the line, you know, every day, you know, so.
I'm lucky. I have very supportive people in my life. You know, that was a big thing before I took this job. You know, little background history. So I was married for 10 years. My wife passed away, and this is going to go into another thing that I want to talk about with you. I
Yes.
think this is important. She passed away in 2017. She dealt with depression all her life, and she struggled with that. So mental illness is huge to me. We'll get into that in a minute,
Yes.
though. But before I took this job, I sat down with, I have a wonderful girlfriend who supports me a lot. She's actually a sheriff's deputy at the sheriff's office.
Nice.
So that makes that part easier. She understands it.
Right,
You know,
yes.
she gets what I go through. We can talk. But before I took the job, I sat my kids down. You know, I talked to her, and I was like, this impacts everybody. You know, this isn't just another police job and changing jobs. Now you're in the limelight. Now it's
Yes.
politics, so to speak,
Right,
and
right.
and children are a reflection on me. I'm a reflection on them, because now my daughter has to go to school, and well, your dad's a
Yeah,
chief,
yes,
and you
right,
know,
right.
it might make her friendships harder.
Yeah.
But they were accepting of it. They loved it. They loved the idea. My kids don't get into trouble, thank God. So that made my life easier.
Yeah.
But no, on the flip side of that too, my oldest daughter's 22 now. She's a paramedic.
Okay, yeah.
So she's a first responder too.
Right.
So we can have those conversations
Yes.
of man, my day was rough. What did you deal with? What did you deal with? Because there's parallels.
Yeah.
You know, she deals with the same people I deal with
Yes.
every day. Not so much anymore with my job, but that helped a lot. It's easy to relate to them. A lot of families struggle with those conversations as a first responder parent, because you want to hold that in and not
Yeah.
talk about it, because you don't want your kids to know
Right.
that you saw that
Everything that they
dead
experienced
body
in
that
that
you
day.
saw. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you
Yeah.
don't want that. So I'm lucky that my daughter understands that we can have those conversations. My 16-year-old, unfortunately for her, she's just inundated in this now.
Yeah.
You know, whenever her mom was around, her mom was an emergency room nurse. So it was police officer, emergency room nurse, now paramedic. So
Right.
my 16-year-old doesn't have a chance. She's
Yes.
she's inundated in everything we do.
Yeah.
But no, they're super accepting. They're super supportive. I'm very lucky. My kids are super smart. My daughter just graduated paramedic school. My oldest, she was an EMT,
Nice.
Katie ambulance. Now she's a paramedic.
Yes.
My youngest one is that this kid's a genius. She's straight A's. She's in college classes already.
Yeah.
But I'm blessed when it comes to my kids.
Man,
For
so
sure.
so you dad of 3?
Say that again.
Dad of 3?
Two
Father
daughters.
of 2.
Two daughters.
Me too.
Okay.
Man,
Girls too.
yes.
Man.
Yes.
We just-
I'm gonna need your help.
I'm-
So you're telling me that if you know, because I have an 8-year-old and I have a soon-to-be 3-year-old.
Okay.
The 3-year-old's a savage. Don't worry about that. She's
My 16-year-old was too. She still is.
Yeah, see, so if I need your help, you know,
I got
if
it.
I gotta go like a scare tactic or something, like on the movies and everything, I can call you up. Hey, I need you to scare this little boy because he wants to date my daughter. You know,
I tell you what. Yes. Just, I'm in the back. I'm across the pond though.
Yes.
So we'll just
Oh, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
row over to your house.
oh
we'll take
yes.
care of it.
So I tell you, like if you leave and going to Southside, going to Southside, is the pond. I
Okay.
am the second house on the right.
Got it.
That's my house. So there's this pond and then that little pond.
I know
No,
where
that pond.
Yeah,
that
on either
there.
side. I
That's
know
where
where
we're
you're
at.
at.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it gets a little crazy sometimes. You know, shout out to my wife and my neighbors. They get a little crazy. So if you get any calls, just text me. Hey Tim, keep it down,
need you
and
to
I'll
bring it
let them
down.
know. Hey, Chief Cody said y'all need to stop or he's coming to arrest all
We
y'all.
could have barbecued at the house today and just did this. We didn't even have to come here.
That's right.
We
Well,
wasted gas.
That's true. See, my wife's not an early bird. I am, so she'd still be sleeping right now.
I got you.
You know, but that's okay. I get up around 4:75 in the morning. So
About 5:30 usually. So I'll have a brisket in the morning. We'll throw it on.
are we like best friends
I
now?
think so.
Man,
I think so.
This is awesome.
We just need to get you into law enforcement now,
Yeah.
so we can
Oh
just
man,
complete the whole
I'm scared.
parallel.
I respect y'all. I respect y'all. I don't know how y'all do it. Honestly, I got buddies. You probably know them. Dustin Laverne.
Yes.
Monique Laverne.
Dustin Laverne was one of my sergeants.
We
whenever I was a
graduated
lieutenant.
together. We
I got
Carencro
you.
Catholic to Carencro High,
Awesome.
so
Yeah.
that's like a brother to me. And you know when
Me and
his
Dustin,
dad,
too.
Greg, passed
Yeah.
away, that was tough.
That was rough
you
on
know.
everybody. Yeah,
So,
I was in K-9 actually whenever he had passed away. I was graduating my K-9 handlers course, which is the course you go through when we become a new handler. The day of his funeral.
Wow.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my graduation day, 2013. should have
yes,
been, if
I
I'm not
was like,
mistaken.
it's still tough, and like the in the watch call kills me every time. Every time. I hate hearing that. You know.
I'll tell you though, like you bring him up is funny because we're talking about what we do in leadership. Like that man was a great leader.
Yes.
I worked, I was bouncing around shifts back then and going to K-9, so I worked a lot with their shift. Mostly after he passed. I worked with him before from a patrol setting, but my patrol shift was opposite of theirs. But then whenever I came to K-9, I was working on their shift. And man, those guys, and I knew Greg Laverne well. I always had respect for him and the way he led his people and how his people respected him.
Mm-hmm.
But you really see how someone's, and it's I'd say it's unfortunate. People understood his leadership prior to him passing,
Yeah,
obviously.
right.
Everybody respected him, everybody loved him. But, after he passed and you go and you listen to the stories and you really see how someone's leadership resonates with people.
Yeah, like the legend lives on.
You do.
When it
Absolutely.
comes
To this day,
Mr. Gregg.
people, yeah.
They still talk about him,
Absolutely.
So it's tough. Like, I got a lot of friends, Jarrell Moss is another one.
Man, it's a good friend of mine too. Yeah.
So I worked with his dad at another job that I had. So I had a lot of friends. Jeremy Bro's another one.
Jeremy Bro was on my shift.
Yeah, we went to Carencro. Me,
Yeah.
him, and Dustin graduated together. So I got a lot of buddies that went into law enforcement, and I respect y'all a lot for that. My uncle, he's in Beaumont, he retired now, but yeah, it's in my family as well and friends and whatnot. But I respect y'all. I couldn't do it. I really couldn't. I don't know how y'all do it. Which I'm gonna ask this right now. Look, it's a funny one, and we're gonna have to go to the other serious part and everything about your job. But is it true that police officers like donuts?
Man, I'll never turn down a good donut.
Yeah?
I won't do. Do you know where that started though?
No.
Do you know that? Let me tell you the history behind it. So that started, and we talked about fact checking, right?
Right.
So fact check me, but everything I've ever read, it started in New York. Yeah, and I'm not even going to go into the year. I don't remember the years, but it started in New York years and years and years ago because cops that worked third shift, night shift, nothing was open back then. Now we even have our Waffle Houses
Right.
and little places like that. And donut shops back then were open late nights with coffee. So a lot of times, police officers, they love our coffee, right?
Yeah.
We all love.
You gotta get the coffee, the
that's
caffeine
it.
going.
Keep yourself up all night. So they would go into these donut shops to get their coffee, grab a snack. So that's kind of where that went. It's
So you're a donut
they
guy.
spend a lot of time. I'll venture towards kolaches most
Yeah.
of the time.
Okay.
but
Okay.
I won't
Okay.
Stay away from the sweets.
I got
most
you.
of the time.
If you had to choose, I'm gonna ask both of those. If you had to choose, what kind of well, actually, it's a 3-part question.
Okay.
First off, what donut shop are you going to, sir? Because most of them now sell kolaches, even though it's a donut shop. So.
Right, man. I'm a meshes guy.
Oh, me too.
That's
All
where
right,
I'm going.
man. Me too. So meshes it is. So with kolaches, you going with plain cheese jalapeno? With what we rocking?
Sausage and jalapeno.
Yeah?
Cheese, every
Just like
time.
my wife.
I need the jalapeno.
You like that spice,
I
that
do.
kick?
I do. I gotta have it.
Man, I can't now. when it
Turkey and
comes-
pepper jack.
I can rock with that.
Okay,
I can
okay,
rock with that.
okay.
Now, when it comes to the donuts, though, you're plain chocolate, strawberry,
Man,
filling, or
I'm a chocolate guy.
chocolate guy?
I'm a chocolate guy.
Come
I
on.
love it. Plain every once in a while. But
Yeah. What about like you like the sprinkles? No sprinkles?
to get
No
my
sprinkles?
teeth.
No wrap. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about strawberry? Like the filling inside? No?
No, don't do the filling.
I can-
I
okay,
stay
I
away
can
from
respect
it.
that.
Not a jelly jam person.
No.
So it's a texture. It's a texture thing.
It's
for
a
me.
texture thing. I like strawberry jelly, jam, all that stuff. I am surprised that this was really a truthful thing that
It's a
cops
thing.
do like
Don't let
donuts.
them lie to you.
Yeah.
They'll eat them. They won't talk about them. They won't get them. But
Right.
I'll probably go get them. I'll throw them downstairs. They're gone before lunch. They're gonna eat them. They're gonna come. One email that we got food at the office.
Yes.
And they're here.
Oh well, look, put me and Mike on that email because we'll come
I
and
got
get
you.
some donuts at the office every once in a while too. So I did want to ask this one though. Whenever since you've been in law enforcement for so long, give me like what is the craziest? It could be funny, it could be serious. The craziest call you've been on.
Man, it's always such a heated question because there's just so many
Within
incidents.
20-something years, I can
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah, the things you see between the naked people running around that shouldn't be. It's outlandish.
How do you handle that? Like, do you have put on gloves? I
As
mean,
far away from them as you can. As far away from them as you can. Man, I don't even know where to go with this.
yeah, because I mean, I watch cops. You know, like another one. My father-in-law. Can't believe I forgot. Sorry, pops, forgot. My father-in-law is a retired police officer from New Roads. So it's quiet over there. Now,
Yeah.
it's more quiet than it is here in Youngsville and everything. But yeah, he was a cop as well, and he loves cops. He'll watch that all day, all
Right,
night.
right.
You know, so when I watch cops, I'm like, that is crazy. Like, does that really?
I'll tell you what, it's kind of funny, but it makes you laugh at how people think and how people think things actually work. And this is pre-body camera, you know, because when I started in law enforcement, we didn't have body cameras, we didn't have laptops in our cars.
Right.
You know, we didn't have any of that. I stopped a guy on Bro Bridge Highway one day. I was driving Parish Line, right, Bro Bridge, and I was sitting on the bridge just doing some paperwork, watching a car, and I see a car coming, swerving back and forth. I pull him over. The guy pulls over on the side of the road. I try to call him out the vehicle because I don't like walking up to cars at night. I want him to
Yeah.
come talk to me.
Right.
He wouldn't come out the car. I couldn't see him. Windows are tinted dark. So I finally just kind of made my way up and I looked. And the only person in the car is in the passenger seat. It's just him. And this guy sat there for 30 minutes telling me he didn't drive. And then the other guy got out the car before I got there and he ran and he even walked me into the field. I let him go for a little while
Yeah.
until we decided he was too drunk and he
Right.
went to jail. But he walked me in the path the guy took when he walked out and he was you watch Seinfeld?
Yes.
You watch Seinfeld? Okay.
Yes.
George Costanza said it's not a lie if you believed it. And this
Right.
guy believed it. He was in it. I'm convinced that he could have passed a lie detector test right there.
Yes, he was truthful statement.
100%. He was all in.
Yeah.
All in.
That was in Bro Bridge.
But it was in
Highway.
Lafayette.
Yeah,
it was in
Bro Bridge
Lafayette.
Highway.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Man.
No, it's people never see. You should do a ride along one day.
Can we take a camera?
I'll take you. Absolutely. We'll work it out.
Yes.
I'll take you. I'll pick up a unit. We'll go. I love patrol. We'll go do
Man.
it. We'll do a ride along.
We could do that. We're gonna have to ask for. Well, is it? I hate to ask it like this. Is it better during the week or on the weekend?
Weekend, definitely.
Yeah.
The weekend, get a night shift. A night
Yeah.
shift in. Yeah, man. It's. You should do one with. You got friends. Do one
Yeah.
with the sheriff's office too,
Yeah.
and the city police.
I can ask those. Man, we can have a little powwow, man.
We could.
That's crazy.
The stuff you see, you will never look at life the same.
Yeah.
You won't. You know, we talk all the time about crime and what happens, and the general public just, and it's not all about crime. It's not all
Right.
about bad things happening, but you see the worst of the worst. You see you know, your neighbor who lives a great life and the marriage seems great and everything seems great. You just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you go to these houses, you deal with people, and it's tough. I'll pivot into it, you know, mental illness and things like that. We kind of touched on it earlier. But dealing with people with mental illness, you know, preparing your officers for training for all that's a big thing we see now. We fight with. And there's never going to be enough training for it, you know, for us to deal with all the different mental illnesses there are out there.
Yes.
But going into kind of saying all the bad stuff that police officers see, one thing I brought in since I've been here is mental illness training for police officers dealing with their mental illness.
That's awesome.
Because, you know,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I posted a little graphic the other day on Facebook on my Chief of Police page, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong, so you'll have to go read it. It's on there. But I think it says, you know, the average person deals with 1.5 to 2 traumatic incidents in their life. And we're talking traumatic, not I hurt myself or you know, I got thrown down. Yeah, like traumatic incidents.
Right.
When you put in perspective, you know, even someone passing away in your family may not be traumatic, but serious traumatic incidents. But then you put that in perspective, a law enforcement officer, throughout the course of their career, if I'm not mistaken, the statistic was 800. You know, I mean, when people are going through their worst traumatic incidents, what do they do most of the time?
Yeah.
They're calling the police.
Right.
So to deal with that, to how do you internalize it?
Yeah.
How do you go home with that?
Right.
And then go home to a family where you don't want to burden them with it.
Yeah.
You can't talk about it with them.
I was going to say, because you know, you can't, because they can't understand. They can't always understand, you know, that life.
It's true.
You know,
It's
and
true.
you have to kind of keep it, I guess, bottled up.
Yep.
You know.
And a lot of people do, and not even realizing what they're doing to themselves.
Yeah.
Not even realizing that frustration they're lashing out at and is not pointed towards their kids or their wife or their girlfriend or their significant other, but it's because of all the stress they have built up.
Right.
You know, so I think bringing that forward for law enforcement officers to deal with their own mental illness, if they're dealing with it, their own demons, their own trauma that they're seeing, is huge.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah.
Because we don't, and you know, we have men and women in this profession, and we're all the same in a lot of ways, but you know, especially the men, because we don't need help.
That's
not,
exactly what I was going
you know,
to say.
we don't.
You know?
I don't need to talk to anybody.
Right. I got this. That's how it's been. You know, because you know, when women go through a lot of it too, especially the ones who are in law enforcement as well. But as men, you're taught from our fathers,
Absolutely.
you know, that you don't cry, you don't do this.
You man up, you deal with it.
Right.
You know, I'm very open about mental health and things I've dealt with. You know, after my wife passed, my children were younger. My oldest was 15, my youngest was 8. And, you know, I put them in counseling. I made sure they were good.
Yeah.
And I was probably about the second counseling session in with my oldest daughter. And the counselor looked at me and kicked my daughter out and said, "We need to talk." And I was like, okay. I thought we were talking about her. Right?
Yeah,
Tell me what progress she's making. And she's like, you need this too. And I was like, I don't need this. I don't, why? Yeah. And I'm lucky, like my group of friends, I've been friends with these guys since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And we kept the same group, you know, 5 or 6 of us, and we were close. So I have people to talk to, you know, I have a lot of law enforcement, and I'm sure you've seen it, having as many friends in law enforcement as you have. They because they talk about that stuff, they form their groups.
Yes.
And cops hang out with cops.
Yeah.
It's just a thing,
right.
You know. But some cops only have cop friends. They have no other friends in their personal life. It's just because of what it is. It's every profession's kind of the same. But I have this other group of friends. So I'm like, man, I can talk to my law enforcement friends. They get me because they deal with traumatic experiences. Right. So I can talk it out with them. I can talk to my close friends because we've been friends our whole lives. They know everything about me.
Yes.
But you don't realize that unbiased third party, you know, they do this for a living. They get paid for this.
Yeah.
And she told me, she's like, I challenge you. She said, come to one session. And if you don't need it, walk out. She said, don't come back. I was like, good, I'll do it. And I ended up staying there for 6 months.
Come on.
You know, you don't.
You start unpacking it.
You don't know what you need, man.
Yeah.
You don't know. And that helped me so much. It opened my eyes. And I share that with a lot of people just to tell people that deal with this stuff. Like, you have to deal with this stuff.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing. It's not this stigma that people attach to it that, you know, he's weak. Man, if you're not taking care of yourself, how can you take care of anybody else?
Yeah.
Especially in the job that we do.
Right.
You know.
Protect and serve.
Right. And you're dealing with everybody on their worst day.
Yes.
You know, nobody
When you
calls
get
the
that
police
call.
because they're happy.
No.
Nobody
They just want to make sure it's a beautiful day out there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Nobody calls the police because they have snacks for you. That's not the thing. Luckily, we do have that in Youngsville, though. They love
Right.
their police, but so you have to be willing to unpack those feelings and get that stuff out.
Yes.
And like I said, man, I'm huge on that, on taking care of our officers, and to me, it all goes back to leadership and supervision.
Yes.
And
That's
and
amazing.
getting to know your people, to know them, that when they walk in the door in the morning for that 12-hour shift and something's not right.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
What's wrong?
What's going on,
What's-
and having that dialogue, that communication, that, because I'm like that. I am a people person, you know, and in the morning, you know, just that good morning, hey, how you doing,
Yep.
could go a long way.
Absolutely.
You know,
I was lucky through my career. I'll blast his name out too, Kevin Savant.
yes,
You know,
yes,
you know
I
Kevin?
know
Okay, he's from Carecross.
Yes,
So
his daughter Jade.
okay,
Yes,
yeah.
and Corey. I know.
Okay.
Yes, I know the
Man,
family.
he was one of my first supervisors on patrol, and I hope he sees this. He was
Send it to Miss Karen.
okay, yeah. He was the best supervisor I've ever had. This man taught me everything about leadership that I know today. And the things I took away from him, just simple things like make sure you're walking around telling your people good morning. Make sure you're getting that personal touch to everybody.
Yes.
And like day one leadership of a new employee. And I pass that down to my guys all the time. And I try to say it, you know, as an administrator, as a chief, you don't have the time with your guys that you have as a sergeant, that FaceTime every day.
Yes.
But it's that, you know, one thing he always told me and if you know Kevin, he's not a man of many words.
Nope.
He
Very
doesn't.
quiet.
He's very quiet, but man, when he speaks, you listen.
Yeah.
And it was always, you can be a first day deputy on the road, but you can still be a leader. Mm-hmm. You know, it's doing the right thing, keeping your people accountable. Your deputy that's working on the side of you, if he's doing something wrong, correct him.
Yes.
You know, stand up for what's right, and don't be afraid to have those hard conversations.
Right.
Leadership isn't just here.
No.
You know, you need it here
Yeah.
to make it strong all the way down the ranks, but anybody can do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that was always huge to me, and the way he viewed his people and the way he motivated them against each other. I was talking to somebody this week, and he came up in conversation, and he would battle you with words a lot, and he would push you in a conversation that, and he's going to hear that I'm talking about him and the things that I picked up over the years, but he would push you in your opinions to see if you would just hold strong for him.
Yeah.
There were times that I know he didn't believe in what he was telling me and arguing with me about, but he wanted to see if I was going to stand firm on my belief in it. And I did.
Standing on business.
Standing on business.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's man, it's important.
Right.
And I preach that all the time to people. Leadership is key. If you are leading yourself, if you're keeping people accountable, if you're doing the right thing, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of my catchphrases. It's too easy to do the right thing. It's too easy to not break that law, to not cross that line.
Right.
It's just
It really is though.
it is.
You know, like,
It is.
and you have a choice. And I told that to my oldest. I'm like, you know, you have a choice. You know, either you can have a good day, or you can have a bad day. But you know, it's up to you.
Yep.
It's up to you to make that choice, and you got to live with the decisions and everything that falls after that.
Right.
So
I think that's key in law enforcement too. Is how do we relate to the people we deal with every day? Like,
Right.
how do we get them to understand what we do? I taught a Leadership Youngsville. You
Uh-huh,
heard of
yeah.
it? They have a class going on right now, and one of their classes they came for was first. I don't remember how they worded it, but it was first responders. They went to the fire department. They came to the police department, and I sat with those people. A great class, and it was just a great conversation. I really stood up there, and I never taught that class before because I was new here. Not new here, but it's the first leadership class I had an interaction with. So
Right.
I walked in there, and I was like, man, I don't know. I don't even know what they're expecting out of me. Like, what am I presenting to these people? And it really just turned into, I lost track of time and almost went over my time because it really came to a conversation of these are citizens.
Yeah.
And let me give them as much information of what we do so they understand it.
Right.
And everybody kind of wants to learn about law enforcement,
Yeah.
you know, because it's interesting.
It
And
is.
what do y'all do and how do the cases work? But having those conversations to explain to people what we do, and not only what we do, but why we do it.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you mentioned TV earlier, and there's things what goes on TV. I think that's one of the. I hate social media. I hate, media outlets. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I just, you learn, and I have a great relationship with the media now, and I try to use the media to my benefit to get proper information out. And we do have some good news stations around here that
Right.
take their job seriously. But it's to get the proper information out
Yes.
to people so they understand. And it goes back to transparency, but if they can understand what you do and you can relate to them in a way of, oh, that makes sense, because TV teaches you about how this law works and how that law works, and 90% of the time it's wrong, and I'm talking not necessarily media, but how I saw this law should be this way, and they should be arrested. It's
right.
no.
Yeah, you do have a lot of lawyers on
No,
social media,
absolutely,
and officers
absolutely.
on social media. I have noticed that as well.
It's to teach them. And I'm not beneath. I've done it on calls. I've done it since I've been chief. I'll pull up an actual law statute. I'll print it. I'll say, let's read it together. Let me explain to you the points of how this works and the level of we call probable cause that we have to meet to put this person in jail.
Right.
Because when somebody affects your house or damages something, or if it doesn't fit the statute for arrest, we can't.
Right.
But it's it goes back to communication.
Communication.
It's
and
this
understanding.
And I tell people all the time in neighborhoods, I get people and I say don't hear people hear me. Well, I saw this and I saw that and I didn't call the police. Why not?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know if it was against the law. So you have a lot of people that don't call because they don't know, but then you have people that do call for stuff that we can't help with.
Yes.
But I tell them all the time, like, call. Like,
Yeah.
we get paid to do this. This is our job.
Right.
We will come and we will tell you, no, we're sorry. This doesn't meet a legal requirement. It's not something we can do with that. I said, but sometimes it might be something that we can deal with.
Yes.
That is actually a law. I'll give you an example. It's just easy stuff. But one of the ladies at the leadership class, the neighborhood she lives in Youngsville, I won't dime her out, but she's like, I run every morning. She said, I don't like dogs. I'm frightened of dogs. I'm petrified of them. And I got this one dog and it chases me through the neighborhood every morning when I run. And I'm like, that's against the law, right? We have a leash law violation. Like if you have a dog, if you have an animal, you have to keep them contained in your yard on a leash. Not every time we're going to run out and give them a citation,
Right.
because it's an ordinance violation. It's not a state law. It's a city ordinance. But we can go talk to these people. Conversations go a long way.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, they might not even know their dog's getting out the fence
That's
every
true.
morning.
Right.
I had a dog that was an escape artist for years. She'd climb under the fence, walk the neighborhood, come back, get back in. I had no idea until I caught her in the front yard one day.
Right.
But again, that's an ordinance that was on the books that we can warn people about. We can write a citation if we need to, but they didn't even know this was a thing.
Right.
So it's just all about communication.
So with that, you think, do you guys have like these type of discussions or at the city council? Like, how can like these, citizens find out, hey, this is how these laws go. The certain complaints that we get every year, y'all come here and I'll talk to you about it.
So
figure it
that's
out.
one thing. Again, I've been here a little over a year as chief of police. I want to. This first year was really getting my feet wet and getting the department running properly
Right.
and getting everything in order. Plus now an election going on, so it's a lot. But that is one of my goals to start doing maybe community forums, bring people in and Q&A sessions.
Right.
One thing I did a lot of when I got here, and I just kind of did it on a whim because I felt it was going to be useful, and it turned out to be way more useful than I thought. Well, first thing was I got invited to a lot of, what do we have tons of in Youngsville? Subdivisions.
Yes.
Subdivisions have HOAs.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, see, y'all have it. We don't. You know that?
Right, yes.
Yeah, we don't have one
Yeah.
in the back. We're
Yes.
HOA free. It's
Right.
the Wild West in the back of Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I'm going to build a whole subdivision in front of my subdivision, and y'all
Yeah.
can't do nothing about
Nothing.
it. But you
Right.
guys can paint your door. So, no. But yeah, so I went to all these HOA meetings. They have annual meetings. So I use that as a platform to talk to people and let them ask questions and tell me the issues that we're having. But what I was going to say, the biggest thing I did is when I got in office, obviously I made my chief of police Facebook page to complement my regulars. People could ask questions, do what they needed to do. And it's not all about campaign too. It's about
Right.
reaching out.
Yes.
And then I said, you know what? Where do people go to complain the most? And I'm not even using complain in a negative connotation. I was like, Facebook.
Yes.
So what I did was I got into, and I'm probably in about 90% of them now, all their HOA Facebook pages.
Yeah.
I went and added myself and asked them, because they're mostly private.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I'm the chief of police. This is what I'm here for. I'm just here to help. If you guys have any issues in the neighborhood, I can give you guidance in this group.
Right.
And you'd be surprised, but some of them were hesitant to add me. They thought I was going to spy on a big government, I guess. But I had a few of them.
What's going on in there?
Man, I had one guy reach out to me, and he called me on the phone. I never met the guy, super nice. And he's like, man, he goes, you almost got me banned from my own neighborhood. He goes, because he had called me about a problem. He called my office, and that's one thing I pride myself on is it's Youngsville. It's crazy. Youngsville is 18,000 residents. We're right at about 18,000.
Okay.
You know, we're the biggest municipality, not Lafayette City, right? So,
Right.
you know, Youngsville, Cancro, Broussard, Scott, Dusson. We have the biggest number, but it still has such a small town feel.
Yes, it does.
You know, and that's what I love about here.
Right.
So I like to keep that small town feel in terms of I'm receptive. If I get a phone there, I can be confident to say that if I've got a phone call or an email since I've been in this office, I've responded to it. And my response may be, give me your problem. This is what we can do. I'm going to pass it off to one of my guys to handle this, you know, because obviously I have people delegate issues to who are even better at it than handling than I am.
Yeah.
But I want that contact. I want to talk to those people and have those conversations for them to know that we're involved. I got off on a tangent. Oh yeah, back to Facebook. So that was my goal with that. I'm like, let me get in these neighborhoods, and you know, 95% of the time I'm just sitting back reading.
Yeah.
I read the comments because people are quick to go to Facebook to complain about something.
Yep.
But they won't call the police.
Nope.
But the good thing for me is I can sit back and say, hey guys, we're having an issue in this neighborhood.
Right.
Let's go address it. Let's go talk to this neighbor. They're saying they're at 100.
Yeah.
Road A,
Right.
go talk to them and not even comment on the Facebook and solve a problem without even mentioning
got
it.
you.
But also stuff like you were saying, I can put out PSAs for these neighborhoods. Hey, look, this is what's going on. This is what we're doing. This is the roads that we haven't closed today. Like that.
Yes.
And that communication goes a long way. And
It does.
we pick up so much stuff from these neighborhoods, the problems they're having. We're able to solve them without even getting involved in the conversations.
Right.
So that's huge to me, and that's helped us do a lot. You know, when we have crime in neighborhoods, I always, you know, we had once, and man, look, people think crime doesn't happen in Youngsville. They think crime doesn't happen in these places.
I was going to ask. Yeah.
You never, if I can put out anything for people to understand about crime and how it happens, and it's a harsh thing to say to people sometimes to get them to understand our perspective, and we have to watch how we say it as law enforcement because we're so entrenched in this job and we see it. But you can't stop free will.
Yeah.
You can't stop someone from doing bad things. You can be hard on crime, and that's always our goal is you're hard on crime. You show them that we're not going to tolerate it. We're going to work with the district attorney's office to get these prosecutions through. And you do that to the best of your ability to keep people away from here. To say, I don't want to go commit crime in Youngsville.
Yeah.
I know.
They don't play out there.
That's it. I know if I'm going to do it, that these officers are going to find me, that they're not going to stop till they do. So that's the image I want to portray. But at the end of the day, if somebody's going to come in and shoot at somebody, if somebody's going to come in and break into that car, you're not going to stop free will.
Right.
And it's a sad thing. It's a sad world that we live in.
Yeah.
But, you know, we work hard. We if we have a crime, we fight till we solve it. And I make sure I communicate with these neighborhoods. We had one where we had a crime recently, and I made sure when this guy was arrested, I put that out to the neighborhood first. And that was a priority of mine. I got in their Facebook group. And not everybody in the neighborhood's on the Facebook, right?
Right.
But word travels fast.
Yes.
Neighbors talk. So to me, I got in there and I told them, I said, you know, this is what occurred. This is the most I can tell you right now due to the investigation. Then when we got this guy in jail, I went back and I said, I owe this to you guys first. This is what happened. This guy's in jail. I even told him what his bond was, you know, and I said, this is going out to the media now, but I owe this to our citizens first.
Yes.
Because you guys are affected by this crime. You guys are afraid of what's going on.
That's amazing that you're transparent with it. And I like transparency myself, you know, because it just makes everything easier to where I feel like I can reach out to you if I got a question or a concern or something like that, and you're going to tell me yes or no, this is what can happen.
Absolutely.
It just makes it a whole lot easier because, yes, we do have a lot of people that's yapping and complaining on Facebook. Everybody's not everybody, I don't say that, but a lot of people are keyboard warriors and, you know, they swear they're the law and they know the law. They went to law school and all this and that. They went to police training and all that good stuff as well. And they haven't, you know, so
but
you make it easier for us to understand.
I see those people and I see those comments and the back, you know, a lot of times I'll DM somebody privately whenever I see those comments and I'm like, hey, let's have this conversation about it. Let me explain it to you.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10, it goes well. 9 out of 10, they're like, I get it now. I'm sorry. I've had people delete comments because
Yeah.
they're like, you know, I was, but people are emotional and people act out of emotions, and that's okay. You know, it's you can't take that stuff personal. It took me a long time in law enforcement to get off of Facebook and stop looking at the negativity and stay out of the comment section.
Right.
But
it's fun though.
Sometimes it is. It's like a train wreck. Sometimes you got to look at it. You don't want to, but it is.
Yeah.
But it's a wealth of information.
Right.
It really is. And I was really shocked at how many people were able to help, again, just by sitting back and reading what people put and helping people that way.
Yeah.
So I think there's just so many different ways to attack helping the community and communication and looking, and too many people discount it and like, oh, Facebook's the devil and I'm getting off of it. And I'm like, look, I hate it too, but it all serves its purposes.
Yeah.
And if you're not utilizing, like we talked at the beginning, whenever you got here, I said, I'm still a big tech guy. Like I'm a tech junkie. I love technology. But if you have a tool, use it.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing in law enforcement. Law enforcement is tools. You know, they teach you in the academy, you know, this is a tool to put in your belt because you may not use it, you may not need it, but just another tool. You can't have too many. It's not physical tools.
Right.
We're not talking guns and tasers and but all that stuff, man, you add it up in social media and how you investigate and what tools you're using. You can never have too many.
Yeah.
So
look, you know what? And look, we're going to end episode 1, part 1. I'm sorry, episode 1. Part 1. We're going to end part 1 right here with the Chief. We'll be back to you guys in a few minutes. Check y'all soon.
Thank you. See you in a bit.
Man. Yeah. We'll get some water. That was good, though.
Hey guys, this is Chief Cody Louviere with Youngsville Police Department. You are here today with us with Louisiana on Fire. I am running for election to continue being your police chief, continue doing great things for our city. Don't forget, early voting starts October 18th and election day is November 5th. Go out and exercise your right to vote, and let's get some good people in these positions in office to further our city and our country and just make everything better for everybody. Thank you.
What's up, Louisiana? Thanks for watching another episode of Louisiana on Fire. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Oh, and don't forget to hit that bell so you can be notified for the next episode.